Right, but this is intense energy, so I can understand feeling like you're jumping out of your skin and like, what is this about? So I get it.
It's so intense. I think I can't even put words on the depth of the intensity. I've never seen anything like it since I've been embodied that I recall. Now, I've had Dark Night of the Soul a few times. I've had, one bad time after another at times. This is different. This is so subtle. And as I really embrace, okay, here we are at this incredible transformational time from one 2,000-year cycle into the next cycle, which is the golden age. No wonder everybody's either jumping out of their skin or doesn't know which way is up, or they haven't been called to the party. And that's a lot of the people have not been called to the party. They're busy watching the reality shows and thinking it's real.
Okay.
And then they're in suffering. They're content. Well, actually, the extreme highs and lows that this particular lifetime offers is very intoxicating for many, many people. And so if I suggest to them, drop the high and drop the low and drop the medium, they're very uncomfortable with that because they've been programmed. You're going to look forward to your 16th birthday or married or unmarried or, whatever. And it's all a story and none of it's real.
Right. Okay.
Well, that was quite a bit of an answer for you. So,
lots to contemplate.
Yeah, all I have to say is, your call was so timely because I got off my chest everything I had to say today.
Honestly, listeners, I wasn't coached to do it.
No. So, as you hang up, I'll say, okay, listeners, I'm done. No, I'm just kidding. We've got more.
No. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in because your question actually was very helpful to those who could allow the energy to be for them as well.
Great.
For those who tuned out thinking it's not my question, sorry about that. You missed a whole thing. Listen to the archived version of it because there was so much packed into that little segment. It would change your life if you could grasp it.
Yeah, some people aren't ready.
Well, no, they haven't been called. They simply haven't been called. But I'd like to think that those who are listening have been called.
Oh.
And if you haven't been called, that means you should call in. So there we have it.
There you go.
Yep.
Great.
All right, my Sydney. Oh, one final thing, Sydney. Wait a minute. As I'm looking at my galactic information. And again, listeners, would you please listen up here? Today is what is called a galactic portal. So everything that was just said here is larger than you all expect, even you, Sydney.
Wow.
Yeah, when it's a galactic portal, they're few and far between.
Really?
Yeah, and I've noticed that several times when I've been on my Tuesday show, there is a portal, and that always makes me smile because you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
So, and this galactic information, it really comes from the essence, which is Hunabku. 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 The closest definition I could give you to that energy field is the sun behind the sun.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's so cool. So, yeah, now we can hang up. Goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. So if anyone else would like to call in today, the number is 321-806-3159. And because it is a galactic portal, hey, maybe you will be nudged. Maybe your higher consciousness, super consciousness, whatever, is like, I can't even think of a question. Doesn't matter. You get to call in anyway. And, you can reach me also on purpleportal777 @gmail.com. and this is Elaine Bartlett, and you are listening to my Purple Portal to open new gateways for you. So, okay, brave caller, hi there.
Hello, Elaine. It's Lydia. How are you?
I'm good, Miss Lydia. Did you hear what was happening for the first half hour of this show?
It's so funny. I ran home. I should be running to get in better shape, but I ran home to hear your show, and I missed the question that Sydney had, but I tuned in at 3:07, so I caught the majority of what went on.
Her question it actually wasn't even really barely a question. It was like, could you just give me like a word of wisdom?
Wow, and boy, did you ever.
Holy smokes. It was like this. Somebody turned the spout, and I couldn't stop it.
Well, I think it's wonderful. And so I have a couple of questions and also a comment to your baseball story. So I don't know where you...
Go for it. Start where you want to. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess the comment to the baseball story, and you... I've been a follower of yours for 20-some-odd years now, maybe even more than that. I think you're wonderful. And you know that I am the crazy optimist. I'm the person that always looks at life through rose-colored glasses. So take my story with a grain of salt. But having been in the field of education for over 30 years, I have found, and perhaps maybe I was blessed to see this, that the story that you relayed is the minority, not the majority.
Oh, I'm so relieved to hear that, because it was so glaring. There was no escaping it.
Painful to watch, and to think, oh my heavens, what is it that the world, what's happening in the world that the energy in these little ones is coming out in that way? And that's so frightening. And it's unfortunate to hear that story, because I know that those stories are out there. But I think it's important to present my side that I see, because I think both places...
I am so relieved to hear that. You have no idea.
I have to tell you, we would quite often... part of my responsibility would be to run assemblies for the school system and for the school itself. And so I would stand in front of my 500 students, and I would look out at them, and I would say to them, you are the most beautiful tapestry as I look at you. The colors, the shapes, the sizes, the colors, and they were so blended. And I will tell you this, as they do get to the high school, that's where I started to see more of a division. But I did not see a division when they were in the younger grades. And it always saddened me to think, what happened? Because I saw you all when, in the first 7 years of your schooling, or the first 5 years of your schooling. And what happened when you moved to the high school? What happened in that 1 year that changed 7 years of a bond? So that's something to consider that I prey on. But I must say, I was blessed with looking at beautiful children in wonderful ways, and perhaps maybe the teacher in me, when I did, on a rare occasion, see children not being nice to one another, I must say, and, my husband would, and my children would not like it, but I must say I would intervene, and not in a negative way that I would push my way in, but I would just kind of work my way down to where they were, and I'd stand next and say, aren't you having a lovely game here? Look at this, and what's your name, and what's your name, and what's your name, and can't we all play together? And somehow it would happen.
That so went through my mind, and yet I was truly the outsider. Here I am, the grandmother. Unfortunately, the family member that was sitting right with me kind of brushed it off as, well, those two little girls are friends. I'm like, okay. So I knew I would be almost violating my position.
And once again, I'm speaking from a point of, as a teacher. So my family would be aghast when I would do things like that. And they'd say, you're not in the classroom, and you have no right to put your nose where it doesn't belong. However, the point is that I am aware that what you witnessed happened, but from my perspective in over 30 years of education, I will tell you that is truly not the norm.
I'm so relieved because I was so brokenhearted.
And it's a situation that breaks your heart to think, how does it happen? Like, you've only been on this earth for 4 years in this earthly plane, or you've only been in this body, or however you want to term it. How did it happen that you're seeing color, or you're seeing differences, or what I would see more is a socioeconomic divide.
Possibly.
More the fact that at a young age they would discriminate against someone because perhaps they weren't wearing the clothes, or their clothes were funny, or they weren't. So that's where there might be a divide, but I have to say what I had found was that goodness always prevailed.
And we both know it does. I think both of us are that optimistic that, okay, you take a deep breath. I don't know what it was about, what I needed to see from it, what happened. But goodness, we are both so much in that playing field.
Yes, and perhaps, Elaine, the interesting thing is there was so much in that story that you shared. And so perhaps maybe that story landed on the ears of the listeners that maybe are the moms that chit-chat a little bit too much and don't keep their eyes open. And maybe it landed on the ears of those people, or maybe it landed on the ears of people that said, wow, you know what, I have to take a close look to make sure my kids are integrated and are not judgmental. So that story was meant to land for so many reasons. And I don't need to tell you that you're my teacher, so I listen, and learn from you, but I just had to share that one little
Thank you. Thank you for all that good stuff.
But okay, then my other question, or my two questions are, I do work very hard to listen to what you say and to figure out how to apply it globally. So you're not just talking to the caller, you're talking to all of us. So I guess maybe if you could glean a bit of advice on how to make sure that we all do that as listeners, to make sure that we apply it. And then you said about the fear that we should ask you whether we're in the East or West group.
I believe you are an East group, but tell me your year of birth again.
1959. And I say that proudly.
And after February 8th?
I was July 4th, 1959.
Sure, you happen to be Con North. That is the 1 star. Con, K''A''N.
Okay.
Is in the center of the Bagua this year.
Okay.
So whatever fears could possibly come up, they will. But they're coming up take a good tour of inspection with, and then allow them to dissolve. Don't try to change them. There's no fixing allowed because you're already perfect. But the shift is recognizing your own perfection. We have to keep dropping everything until you see your own shining one. So,
I don't know if I understand that.
Okay. The essence of you is not Lydia. Okay? The essence of you is not a white woman, not a teacher, not a Indian chief, nothing. The essence of you is the pure shining one. It's pure awareness. It had no beginning. It cannot possibly die. It is the same essence that is in me. And soon we will have to figure out in great humility how to bow to the shining one that we are. Once we can do that, well, then there will be no problem on a baseball field. There would be no conflict. There would positively be no war because I see the shining one of you. It's a term that is actually a galactic term to call someone the shining one. Often our what you call our, if you will, brothers and sisters of a lighter density frequency, they're actually simply referred to as the shining one because they've dropped so much of their density.